Welcome to Yellow Ribbon Initiative, a forum or an organization where we deal basically with ex-convicts and their reintegration into the societies. On many occasions, we've had a situation where ex-convicts experience a lot of problems, especially when they are reintegrated into the society. And this is where many of the organizations have avoided. We always talk about recidivism, and every other project zeroes in down to only the paperwork. But most of the stakeholders have avoided to follow the practical ways on reintegration of offenders, so that when they are in the society, they will not be able to think of getting back into crime again, and thereby going back to a prison facility. And today I'm going to highlight on those very simple steps to be able to guide people, because I have gone through the system and feel it's very important for us to look at them very critically. Now, when we are focusing in this system of getting into or successful reintegration and reducing recidivism, we are talking about a person leaving from prison, because leaving prison is not the end of a sentence. It is simply the beginning of a new chapter. You have not just finished life or finished incarceration, but it is the beginning of a new chapter when you have already entered into a default mode. Now, you realize that when you have been in custody, you have gone through what we call institutionalization. And anybody who has gone through the system of institutionalizations understands that you only have to live within the systems or the structures of the organizations that admitted you. You have gone from one day to another, and many a times, for those who have been in custody, you don't have memory of dates. You cannot think of today's Monday, Tuesday, whatever. You only realize that this is a Saturday, because in custody you have people who go to church on Saturday. You realize it is a Sunday because you have people who go to church on Sunday. You know that this is a system that works because of the structures that have been set out in prison for you to follow, because of the institutions are separate from the community. So that is the language you understand. And so when you get out of that system of institutionalization, you realize that now you have a new beginning of life, because the older life has been removed out of you. So you've got to learn new things again after being institutionalized. Now you get into developing a lifestyle of association with the people in the community again. So this is a new chapter of a new life. So many former prison or offenders, prisoners face a lot of challenges, because this is something that they don't understand. The first thing you need to understand is that finding a job as an ex-convict is very hard, and I'm going to highlight the structures that are there so that we're going to bridge the gap and tell you why the Yellow Ribbon Initiative is very important to come into your life, especially when you are getting out of custody. Rebuilding family relationship is another issue that really the ex-convicts face through. Those are very big challenges, rebuilding family relationships, and that is again where the Yellow Ribbon Initiatives comes in. Then securing housing. Many of the young men or even the elderly who have come out of custody through stigmatization, when they get to the community, nobody is ready to accommodate them. And so we find ways on how to accept them into the society prior to their release. And that's something we're going to discuss along the way. And I invite you to get into this video so that anybody that has gone through incarceration, like some of us, will be able to teach those who are out there, so that we may be able to understand on how to accept them. Because in one way or another, you have knowledge of somebody who has been in custody, a relative, a friend, a close neighbor, or somebody like that. It is something that very few people understand on how to handle an ex-convict. So The issue of coping with stigmatization because of the naming, the name tags, ex-convict, prisoners, offenders, uh, bad people, what kind of names that you are being called, a normal thief, it is this one Limkora and all that kind of stuff. These are things that are changing our mindset. They really affect the persons who have come from custody. And avoiding situations like that. Now, also of great importance is an ex-convict avoiding situations that increase the risk of reoffending again, because you will get back home and you still find out that you encounter or have a fellowship or an interaction with people who are drug addicts, drunkards, celebrating, and they don't care because they have not gone through the system that you've been. And when you establish another new contact with them again, the chances of you reoffending, or they participate in an offense and you are found in the mix, you will always find yourself in custody or in prison. So the other thing that we need to look at also is how families face uncertainty about how to rebuild trust while providing meaningful support. The community has already gotten into mistrust with the person who has been in custody. And so for them to be able to to accept you back, or the ex-convict back into their life again, becomes a very big challenge, because they are not certainly sure that this person has changed. And so it is our responsibility also to look at both areas where we can involve counselors, counseling the ex-convict prior to getting into the society, and counseling even the family to accept him back into the community, telling them or teaching them on what has happened in his life and how the reforms that he has gone through. So in short, what we are doing is to make sure we build a community that understands the life of an ex-convict, because this is a person institutionalized, and when he comes to you, he comes as a prison living. So what we need to do as a family is to put life of humanity in them, so that we replace the prison life, the institution life, and the life of an ordinary citizen, free man into their life. So for a successful reintegration program, we've got to look at how we are prepared. We've got to look at accountability, the community support, and access to practical resources. For example, they need jobs, medical, and all that kind of stuff. So what we are doing is we've designed a program to help former prisoners and their families navigate the journey within the community with ease and acceptable. So the next thing we're going to do now is to offer practical steps from 24 hours thereafter, every step until he settles completely into the community. So welcome everybody, those who are watching, so that if you have anybody who has gone through prison system, introduce them to Yellow Ribbon Initiative, send them this video and let them watch clearly, because it's going to help them and help the families to accommodate them into the society as a people. As a father in Catholic once said, prisoners are people too. So ex-convicts who have gone through the system are people too, and they know much more than you don't know, because they have gone through stuff. Thank you very much, and God bless you as I walk you through the journey of reintegration.